This is Andi Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and I'm delighted to be joined by Golden Boy's Roberto Diaz here in Anaheim. Roberto, firstly, how are you?
I'm good, Andy. Thank you for having me, and excited about tomorrow night. Excited.
I'm excited as well, especially on the back of that face-off today. It was very tense. What did you make of seeing them both up on the stage?
You know, they've been very respectful. That's characteristic of them. But now, when you're moments away, and they're both eager. You know, camp's been long for both of them. The press conferences, the interviews, it gets to the point where they just want to step into that ring, and you could see it today in the face-off. You could feel it, and it's that's when you get that little instinct that we have a fight on our hands.
Robert, who do you feel there's more pressure on heading into tomorrow? Is it the younger man in Jaime Munguia who's looking towards that world team, or is it Gabe Rosado, who people see as kind of his last roll of the dice, as it were?
You know, normally it could be one way or the other, of course. In this particular fight, and I'm not saying it as a promoter, I'm saying it as a fan, I'm saying it because I'm seeing them and I know them. Munguia is relaxed, Munguia is comfortable, Munguia feels no pressure because I'm undefeated, I've never been defeated. I respect Rosado, but I don't have a feeling that I'm in threat. Rosado's not pressured because I'm not expected maybe to win, and everybody expects me not to. So, but Rosado's very confident right now. He's on the highest moment of his career. He revived his career. You see a different energy, a more disciplined with the experience now that he has, somewhat of a Bernard Hopkins, and Bernard, coincidentally, a mentor for him. Freddie Roach has something because he rejuvenates fighters. I mean, he worked with Hopkins, he worked with Oscar, but he also worked with Miguel Cotto. And Miguel Cotto tells me all the time that that was the best thing he could have ever done, and he rejuvenated, and I could see it with Gabe. I don't see pressure on both sides because I see confidence on both sides.
What should the fans expect? Everybody's spoken about this Mexican and Puerto Rican clash and how everybody usually expects to see that go. Is this as simple as it will be a fan-friendly fight? It will be one that people can remember. Speaking to Bernard yesterday, and he expects a Gatti Ward type fight.
You know, I as a matchmaker, I would hope so, because the characteristics of both of them say that's what it's meant to be. I see, I would hope to even see something close to Hagler and Hearns for as long as it lasts. But something tells me that we're gonna, at least for a few rounds, get some chess match going. I'm just hoping that once that big punch lands on either side, that goes out the window and then all hell breaks loose.
I mean, whoever is successful on Saturday night, is it very much the plan to look at the world scene to try and secure a world title opportunity for one of, whoever is victorious?
Absolutely. I think whoever wins this fight, they're ready. I mean, if it is Gabe, what a Cinderella story. I mean, not too long ago, he was written off as just, a gatekeeper, an opponent. You wanted to get a good win against a name, fight Gabe Rosado. How he turned it around since the Danny Jacobs fight, then what he did to Bektemir Makuziev with a sensational knockout. Now, a win over an undefeated young fighter like Munguia, who's been walking through everybody, is huge. And it's a rocky story. And on the other hand, Munguia has been wanting to fight a Golovkin. So a win over Gabe Rosado in a great fashion, I mean, that's the fight. I won't say Rosado against Golovkin because we've seen it. But, hey, if he goes in there and knocks out Munguia, people are going to say, now we want Golovkin. So it's all up in the air until tomorrow night, and I'm excited. That's what makes this fight so intriguing.
And just feeling the atmosphere in there today as well at the weigh-in, how much are we in store for when there is a bigger crowd in attendance tomorrow night?
Oh, absolutely. I think, they just opened up all the borders. Prior to a couple weeks ago, we didn't expect a big crowd from Tijuana. I think all this promotion the last few days now, people heating up, our phones are off, ringing off the hook because everybody now all of a sudden is heated. They want to buy tickets. Tickets are going really well. There's very few tickets left. I think tomorrow night is going to be really loud, but because the first few fights are going to deliver, and that by the time we get to the main event, they're going to be warmed up.
Just one final card I want to touch on as well is Alexis Rocha. How important is it that he looks good tomorrow? He makes a statement because that welterweight division is stacked with so many potential fights there, provided Saturday goes to plan for him.
It's very important for him. I mean, number one, he'll have some pressure because he's fighting in his backyard. He has a lot of support and love here. But it's not just important that he wins, it's how he wins. He needs to look spectacular. He needs to say, hey, yes, I lost, but I know how to dust myself up, get up, and get going. And I think he will make a statement tomorrow.
Now, Robert, we never had the chance to catch up last week in Vegas at the announcement press conference for Devin Haney versus your man Jojo Diaz. So I just want to go back to that. The fight, an interesting one. Jojo saying that he's going to outdog Devin. His past experiences are going to be a key factor and a big difference come fight night. Do you agree with that sentiment?
100%. 100%. Devin Haney is a tremendous athlete, a tremendous young fighter who's done a lot in a short period of time. He impressed me from before the Linares fight. I really didn't think he could beat Linares because of the experience of Jorge, because of the determination and how hard Jorge trained. And not taking anything away from Devin, Jorge had been inactive for almost a year and a half, his age, and yet he had his moments that were real close. Jojo has been active, younger, has the experience. I'm not just saying from the pros, an Olympian. Not just anybody is an Olympian. Jojo's an Olympian. Haney's not an Olympian. There's a reason Jojo's an Olympian, because he was the top of the top since then. Now, add the experience as a pro, you got to make Devin uncomfortable. You got to make Devin uncomfortable. And Jojo, there's a reason he raises his hand every time there's a fight opening up. In fact, not too long ago, they were saying, hey, who can fight in the welterweight? Jojo said, I'll go to 140. It's like, hold on, let's take care of business at 30 and 35. But that's Jojo. He's a fighter, a throwback fighter, one of those that, look, I want legacy. I want to fight the best. I want to beat the best because I want to go down as one of the best. And look, he's proven it with words and actions.
I know, of course, you're going to back Jojo with him being your man, but how much of an upset do you think it would be if he did beat Devin Haney, or is upset the wrong word because you see it as a much closer fight than what others might?
Yeah, I don't see it as an upset because Devin's still very young. He can learn from this and bounce right back. Sometimes you need that to see, okay, look, there's these mistakes that need to be corrected. So I wouldn't see it an upset. I mean, an upset to a lot of the boxing fans that believe, that these young fighters are great before they're good. And again, Devin Haney is a tremendous, talented athlete, champion, who's done a lot in a short period of time, but he hasn't been under fire. And come December 4th, he's bringing the fire, Jojo.
Now, another fight, the reason that fight rather came about was because Ryan Garcia having to pull out. How is Ryan doing?
Ryan's doing really well. I haven't talked to him or the team yet. Obviously, I saw Eddie Reynoso in Vegas last week. We got to see, obviously, he had the surgery to the hand. Once he starts hitting, little by little, hitting the mitts, hitting the bag, sparring, see how the hand reacts. But he's young, he's strong, he's healthy. He'll be back in a matter of no time.
How frustrating of a year has this been for Ryan? On the back of that terrific stoppage victory against Luke Campbell, I imagine he had all of his plans to build some momentum and to make himself the star of that little crop of young princes, as some call them, not kings just yet. How frustrating has it been that he hasn't been able to build on that victory in 2021?
It's a test of character. Sometimes we get signs from above that test us and really test the will. And I think he's young. It has to be frustrating because you want to do, especially at that age, you want to go 100 miles an hour. But this is good sometimes. And I think when he comes back, he's going to come back even more determined, more hungry. And watch out, because King Rai will be back on top of the division.
Now, just wanted to show another fight, Virgil Ortiz. We saw, a video come out that himself and Robert Garcia have split. I don't suppose you have any idea as to who he's going to look to train with now. There were rumours of Eddie Reynoso.
I've heard the same rumors, seen everything that everybody else has seen. Look, at times teams come and ask and we talk. Sometimes teams make their own decisions. I don't think a decision's been made. But Virgil's the kind of fighter that wherever he decides, as long as there's a click in chemistry, he's a hard worker. So it's not really so much of can somebody, teach him to be a hard worker or dedicated. That's Virgil naturally, and that's why he's doing so well. I'm sure whoever he goes with, if there's that right fit, he's just going to get much better.
Final thing, Robert, before I let you go, obviously last weekend in Vegas we did see that undisputed fight between Canelo and Canelo-Plant. I just wanted to get your take on seeing Canelo become undisputed champion at 168.
It was amazing because obviously seeing him from before becoming the first time world champion to seeing today, seeing that growth, seeing who he's become, one of the greatest, not just Mexican fighters in boxing, but one of the greatest fighters to ever lace him up. It's satisfying because it's like you were a little part of that at one point. So I still see him as, yes, pound for pound, the best fighter in boxing today. And the scariest part is he's still improving. You still see a different thing. In every fight, something different.
Who is the man who's capable of beating Canelo, Robert, in your eyes? Because when people mention it, he seems to be they want to see him move up to 175 and face somebody like an Artur Beterbiev, because it's that type of fighter who I think is the one who has the best chance of beating Canelo. Is there anyone around 168, maybe 160 moving up, who can overcome the man who you've just said is a pound for pound star?
You know, I don't think that's fair when people, and I read that all the time, oh, he won't fight. If he goes up to, again, 75s and beats a better, then they're going to say, oh, but he won't go up to heavyweight and beat a Joshua. It's like, come on. Not too long ago, he was a welterweight. So I don't see that being fair. I would say no 75s. Already at 68, he's given up so much advantage in size and strength and weight. Talent is getting him to beat these 168s. Today at 160 or 168, no, I don't see anyone beating him, because you got to be so much more than just a total package. You got to be able to take a punch. You got to be able to land a very strong punch. You got to be able to avoid punches. You got to be a combination of 4 or 5 different fighters, not just one. And with the experience and the dedication and hard work that he puts in, it's going to be very hard.
Well, Robert, the music's just come on, so I imagine it's turning into a bit more of a party vibe now, so I think that's time for us to call it there. But I appreciate your time. It's a pleasure for me to talk to you for the first time as well. Thank you for speaking to me on Boxing Social.
Andy, thank you very much. A pleasure always, and a shout out to all my friends and all my good friends in boxing out in the UK, Manchester and London.